What's up, guys? My name is Joshua Harmon Sr., principal broker and owner of Harmon Real Estate Company. And I have my good friend Angela here with Angela Chantell Interiors. And we're gonna do something like a debate show about hot topics in real estate. She has a very unique perspective when it comes to design, I would say. One of the best designers that I've ever met. And then I'm gonna try to give you a real estate perspective from sales and an investment standpoint. So it should be fun. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think you covered it.
Not necessarily. So our first topic is going to be, should you buy or an existing home, or you should build, correct? Is that going to be our topic?
Yes.
So it's a very hot topic from an investment and a design standpoint. So we thought it'd be really cool to discuss it. And we want to give a shout out to GE Media, who is shooting these episodes for us. And so let's get it started. Should you buy an existing home or should you build? Give me the design perspective of why you should.
I think that we were gonna start out with the advantages of if you bought an existing home.
Okay.
And so definitely from a design perspective on the advantages of an existing home, for sure is time. So if you're moving from another state or you have a strict timeline, you cannot build. It's not even an option for you.
Yeah.
Also, another reason why a lot of people choose to buy an existing home if they want to be in a certain school-like area or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then I guess another advantage would be cost. It's definitely, according to the Home Association's builder, it's cheaper to buy an existing home than to build on the front end, which I have another thought on the back end of that later on.
Later question.
But so I would say those are primarily, and I think your cost is a little bit more controlled.
Correct. So Angela, I think you had three very, very good points. So time control, cost control, and then also you said school district.
Yeah, I mean, because...
Expound on that. Give me some more insight on where you're coming from on that. Because I think you could pick a school district.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think
you could just
where
find a
I'm
development
coming...
area in that school district.
Yeah. I think where I'm coming from on that is there's more than likely going to be more homes for sale than land.
Correct.
In certain school districts.
Gotcha. So more options of where you can be in that school district. I agree with that. So I think that from a designer perspective, to talk about time and money control or cost control is really cool, because those are the things that I agree with, very much so. I think not so much with the school district, because you can find a piece of land and build a house on it most of the time. But there are obviously more existing homes for sale. But I agree with that, time and cost control. A lot of people don't take that into account, and it could be a very fatal mistake, because you don't talk about cost overruns and things like that we'll probably talk on later. Who's responsible for that, the cost overruns? Because I'm sure if you just go hire a one-off developer or one-off contractor to build your house and you don't write in who's responsible for cost control, that could be a real issue.
Yeah.
So that can end up costing you a bunch of money, and then you're mad at Angela for whatever reason. You're mad at the developer, and you're not mad at yourself, but it's really your fault for not doing your due diligence. So I would say that my advantages of buying an existing home is you have more information and more data. So from the perspective of building a new construction home, you can overbuild for an area and really, really over customize and put yourself in a bind to where, you've paid too much for this house. And you don't have an opportunity to sell that home and have flexibility to move. Your financial situation may change, COVID may ramp back up, your job goes obsolete, and you've overbuilt for this house. And that could be a real issue. But yeah, that's for me, with a pre-existing home, you can actually just look at the MLS and see what homes have sold for in the past. You can go back as far as you want to kind of see where homes are valued, how they progressed over the years. What's the cost growth? Like, do homes cost more? Do you see a rent bump within 5 years of 3% of your home value? Is it 2 years? Is it 5 years? You could just project those things with a pre-existing home it's a little bit more difficult. So I think that's the most important thing to me of buying a pre-existing home, and why I choose to always buy something that's pre-existing. Unless I'm building something, the cost of me to build something is significantly less or very comparable to what the price per square foot is to sell it, or where I think sales will be in the near future. So that's my take on it. It's a little bit more technical, but I like your points. If you want to just keep it simple, I mean, control. You have more control if you buy something pre-existing. I think we always agree on that.
I would agree on that, 100%.
So that's what we're doing this debate show. What you'll find out is me and Angela have different points of view a lot of time, but it's usually the same, it's the core of it is usually the same. So I like that. I think this will be a really cool show. What's the next question?
The next question was, what are the advantages of building a home?
Okay. Building a custom home, right?
Building a custom home.
Custom, so we're gonna be specific.
Custom's the key word.
Okay.
Custom's the key word.
What are the benefits from a design point of the design perspective of building a custom home?
So getting exactly what you want.
Okay, correct.
When you're having to pick from, you probably see with your clients and you're looking at homes, maybe you love the layout, but you wish they would have picked different flooring and lighting. Or maybe you love the lighting and everything, but you wish the layout was different. Some people I know they go into a beautiful home that has upstairs and downstairs. Some people want the master bedroom to be downstairs. Some people want the master bedroom to be upstairs. Everybody's different. So you can go in, customize your floor plan, your colors, all of that. I think that's the biggest advantage of building, is you're getting exactly what you want, and even down to the placement of your home.
Correct.
Like some people may buy an existing home and wish that it's on a big land and they could put it anywhere, not talking about just lots, but they wish they would have put it to where higher up so they could have got a better view or whatnot. So, and then I do believe that a home, if it's built right and you work with a professional like myself, that you are paying more for the cost up front, but I do believe that you can recoup your money faster on a new build than an existing.
That's a bold statement, Angela.
I believe it.
Okay, so give me a horror story of somebody building a custom home. Do you have any horror stories of somebody trying to, I guess, what's the term for somebody who's a horror to deal with in a design job?
There's, on building a custom home, I'm not gonna say that nothing has ever happened on my watch, because stuff has, but some of these things just would never happen on my watch.
Yeah, you've been there and done that.
So one of them, the architect will draw up the plans, and then for the most part, the contractor just follows those plans.
Correct.
And a lot of times when the homeowner's not working with the designer on a forefront, they just tell the contractor what they want, or the architect, and then the architect does it, but then there's really no rhyme or reason to anything. So the windows of the outside of the house I've seen look horrible after the build goes up, because she's like, I wanted this window, and there was no rhyme or reason, and she was thinking more of how she wanted the windows to look on the inside and didn't think about how it's gonna look at the front of her house.
And the architect just drew it in.
Architects just do what you want. I mean, they're not that's what we were talking about the other day, is roles and jobs and stuff. I mean, it's not necessarily their job to do all of that. Now, they will sometimes, but another one, I think probably the worst ones that I've seen, is she couldn't even fit a hanger in her closet.
Wow.
I mean, but that was the way that the plans were. And another thing is, people in this area, sometimes I wish that people's mindsets and mentality on their home was different, because the mentality of a lot of homeowners here is, I'm gonna build a $650,000 house, but I'm only going to spend $3 a square foot on the flooring with the tile.
That's just not how it works.
I mean, what the, like, can we cuss? What the fuck? Like, you know.
You can curse. I haven't yet, but.
It's like, no, like, that's not even, so, and then also I've been in homes where, you know, it was a remodel or a new build and the kitchen was $100,000 kitchen, but nothing matched or coordinated.
Yeah. So from a design standpoint, you're basically saying that the right team isn't assembled, it can really, really, really go wrong.
I think when it comes to a new build, there's no pre-existing vision whatsoever of your space.
Yeah.
But
if it's custom.
If it's custom, right. But when it comes to a remodel, it's easier to envision of what you might do because you can kind of see. Yeah.
It's not a blank canvas, and that's new development. A lot of what I'm finding out, because I'm learning about development from an investment standpoint, finding a lot of clients who have land and they want to build. So I'm trying to educate myself.
Exactly.
Meeting with developers, meeting with contractors, meeting with architects. And what I'm finding out is that a lot of new builds are a lot of time copycats. They're going to, they're looking at a drawing that's already done, that has been built, and just tweaking it a little bit. So I think having the right team in place, you have access to past blueprints, past plans that have been looked over by designers like yourself and reputable architects. But the obvious advantage from my point of view is, you know, if you have the right team in place, it can really go right. So if you have a team like myself, Angela, and maybe, you know, a builder who's stellar, we can put together a house that can really be a good investment financially, and also still be really good design-wise. And if we have a good contractor in place, we can get it done on time as well. So having the right team in place, it can really go right if you know what you're doing. You have the right team assembled. So that's just my take on it.
You had mentioned a financial point of having a real estate agent on a new build. I was just curious, like, explain more. So I'm not sure exactly.
So like I said, on a new build, the way it can go wrong is if you overbuild for an area. You overbuild.
Which that's easy to do with me. I mean,
yeah, it's easy to do.
You know?
Yeah, it's easy to do, but
that's
also
the part I don't know.
But like you said earlier, just having the right team in place,
Yeah.
people understanding their roles and staying in their role.
Yeah.
So for me,
100%.
when you've done jobs personally for me in my house.
Yes.
So remodel to an older 1950s house. You came in, it already had a canvas, you just tweaking things along the way, putting things together, so we have a good product. So the kitchen is streamlined, the dining room is streamlined, just everything looks really good. But on a custom home, if you don't have the right design and the right architect in place, you allow the homeowner to just go rampant.
Yeah.
They can just do whatever. But if you have a good real estate agent on board, you keep them up to date on what's going on and how the house is being built or how it's gonna be built, they can give you a good idea and say, hey, look, this is what's sold in the past. This is how homes look. This is something that we can't even project what it's gonna sell for. We can just project what you're paying for it, and just on a price per square foot basis if you're able to sell it.
So price point wise, you can come in and say like, hey,
to give you an idea.
Yeah,
so,
that's huge.
It gives you an idea based on how the finished product's gonna look. If you have drawings, if it gets to a point where you can do 3D drawings, you can actually envision what things look like. A real estate agent can be very helpful. But if you're just gonna go rampant, nobody's gonna be able to help you.
Yeah.
You need to get back to your team structure and just make sure you got the people in place.
Yeah.
We're not gonna allow you to just go crazy and just build whatever you wanna build.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I do have, before we move on, another big advantage of when you're building a new home versus buying an existing. And one of the big advantages is a newer home can be healthier for you.
Sure.
So in terms of lead paint, we find lead paint in a lot of older homes, mold.
Yeah.
So mold is actually a very common thing in older homes. Like even if it's not that old, and mold is very bad for your health. Like if your children or you have bad allergies or anything and you're not really understanding why, like you could possibly have mold in your home. And then asbestos is horrible for you, and popcorn ceilings usually have asbestos in them.
Yeah.
So when you're building a new home, in terms of your health, that can be beneficial because all of the newer like the newer paint does not have lead in it. Like a lot of the things that you had to worry about in an older home, you're not going to have to worry about in a newer home.
Sure.
And then also just the feel of it mentally to go in and know that no one's ever lived in this home. Like this is specifically for me. Like I'm the only person who stepped foot in it.
Yeah.
That can feel really good. Because, you know, I mean, just, from a mental standpoint, it just feels good to know, like, this is
yours.
It's just yours and it's for you and your family only and nobody else. And then the third thing is utilities and stuff. Like, if you build your home with certain installations, certain
conserves energy
ways, you conserve energy and have cheaper utilities. So all of those are another great advantages of building a home versus.
I like it, Angela. You were well prepared. I would say if this was a real debate, that you would be winning the debate right now. But I'm a pessimist. So when we get to the disadvantages, I think that the pendulum's going to swing my favor a little bit. So you can go into the next question. What's the next question?
That's a good point. You're a pessimist and I'm an optimist. So
Very
like I could see me winning.
Listen, Angela is one of the most optimistic people. Even if you don't like Angela, you have to respect her. She's always positive. So all the positive stuff, she's gonna be great. But when I get to the negative, the nasty, the disadvantages, that's when I'm gonna be great. So let's go to the next one. Cons of buying existing versus building.
So we'll do the first one will be the cons of buying existing home.
What's the cons of buying existing? You touched on some energy stuff, so I think that was great.
Yeah.
Should I leave the disadvantages of buying existing?
Do it. Let's do it.
I would say there isn't any. What's the harm of buying existing unless you overpay?
I knew you were gonna say that.
Unless you overpay. You literally can predict everything. So when you sign a contract for a home, your real estate agent should be getting you a lead-based paint disclosure and a seller property disclosure. And that's gonna line out pretty much everything you need to know. You can do a property inspection within the first 10 days or his first 10 business days of signing your contract in the state of Arkansas if your realtor negotiated the right way. You can look at comps. You can look at everything. You can have a full story of what you're buying. We'll get to the other one, buying brand new in a second, but I think that's the biggest advantage of buying an existing home. It makes so much sense. You can predict everything. And if you pick right, you can really, really be profitable. So if you bought a home last year, I've seen people buy homes just a year or two ago and they're making, they're doubling, tripling their money. And it's crazy for it to see, but they just bought right. And I think with our brokerage, we just make sure we try our best to steer you to the homes. And you're not supposed to steer anybody, but if I'm your realtor, I'm always gonna recommend the home that's gonna either hold its value or go up in value. So buying homes in the path of progress. When you're buying building new, there's not a whole lot of land that's zone residential, that's gonna be in the perfect area and things like that. Right. You'll find some that are also cost prohibitive for you to buy. Like if you're buying properties in the path of progress right now, they're in good areas, good school districts, they're ridiculous. Like they're so expensive, I wouldn't even recommend you to buy it. It makes no sense. But buying existing, you can kind of hedge those bets a little bit, make sure you're buying the right house. So that's my take. What's your take? What are some negatives of buying existing? And you could touch on some of the stuff you talked about before. Yeah. But that's really good stuff that I didn't think you would touch on.
I think a big thing on the negative is, for one, is like you are really like you usually end up compromising what you really want in a home when you buy existing. So I think it's really hard to go in an existing home and define what you want. Okay. And the biggest thing for me personally, because I'm actually literally just went through the process myself and used Hannah, your wife. Yes. And we were looking at, and this is for the River Valley specifically, because obviously if we're in any other parts of the world, you're not even gonna get a home for $300,000.
Well, in Atlanta, I mean, heck, if y'all get on Zillow and look at Atlanta, everything is custom. Everything is 3 stories and extravagant, and you could do that type of stuff in some of the, the sub markets in the Atlanta area, but you're talking about here. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. So I like your points though. Continue.
So,
you're doing great.
you know, for me, what happened to us, my boyfriend and I, is we originally started out, we were gonna just buy existing, and for us it was the time thing. We didn't want to have to wait.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we were looking at homes like River Valley specifically in the 300 to 350,000.
Yeah.
But I come in as a designer and I can't live like that. I can't live in a home that the entire thing needs to be renovated.
Yeah.
So, and when I say needs to be renovated, I mean aesthetically pleasing. Like it could for someone else be a move-in ready home.
Exactly.
But
just for your standards, your pleasing to your eye, you want to be able to design.
And to a lot of other women, they would not want to live in a home that's outdated aesthetically. Sure. It wasn't aesthetically appeasing for me, so like the kitchen's outdated, you know, we got granite countertops, which is a stone, but it's, you know, right, the updated would be a quartz or a marble. Yeah. So in terms of, or just the flooring is brown, or everything's brown, like 2010, you know, like everything's brown, everything's mocha. Yeah. We're not really feeling that anymore. Yeah.
Although we have different shades of brown on today. It's cool though, it's cool.
These are the upgraded browns though. Yeah. Cream is good. But so, you know, but someone for like my boyfriend, those houses were fine to buy the way that they are. And so if I was okay with buying a $350,000 home, outdated, and living in it and being happy, then that's great. Yeah. But I'm not. So I'm telling him, in addition to the $350,000, we need to put, realistically, renovating a house of that size and money, you're buying it over again.
Exactly.
So realistically, you would need to put in another at least $250,000. So now you're at $600,000.
So this is the only thing though. So we're going to talk about this a little bit more later. We're talking about costs now, so that's more so on my side.
Yes.
When it comes to the cost as opposed to the value of the property. And today it may make more sense, a lot more sense to buy existing because you can get the best deal more times than not right now. And then you can put some money into it. You'll know exactly how much money you can put into it, which they can give the budget to you and say, hey, look, this is how much money we have to put into the house. Can you break it down with the budget and really let us know if this is going to be feasible to do or if we need to increase our budget? With a brand new home, first of all, you may not even get it. We'll go back to that. We'll go ahead, that's the next topic, but that's just my personal opinion. There are disadvantages. Like you said, the energy conservation is not there because you'd have to basically rebuild the house to where it doesn't make sense. You have to tear the roof off, tear the walls out, put more insulation. Like it's a lot of things. Brand new AC units, when you buy a brand new house, what are you gonna have? A brand new AC unit. So there are obvious reasons why new it's an advantage, but I think if you have to compare the two, I would say right now, buying existing. You have more information, you're gonna hedge your bets against the market, which none of us know, really. I mean, it's a bunch of things behind the scenes with government and costs and things like that we can't really project. So buying existing, you're hedging your bets a little bit more, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and each individual is different.
Sure.
In terms of how they feel about their home.
Yeah.
For me, on a personal level, I just couldn't really imagine spending, I don't know, $600,000. Yeah. And then I'm still not 100% in love with the layout. I'm still not 100% in love with, you know, I can remodel a home and make it look like no one ever lived there before and make it look beautiful. Like,
yes, you can.
I can remodel the shit out of your house and like it will literally look like amazing. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like if you're willing to be patient and take the time and you can make decisions. Yeah. Because building a new home is not for the weak.
Yeah, it's not. Like, mentally, with your relationship.
With your relationship, yes.
It's a lot of things you need to. If you don't have a strong communicative relationship, your communication skills aren't good, y'all gonna have a rough time. Because there's a lot of things you're gonna have to talk through.
Yeah.
You have to be able to sit down and talk to somebody
Yeah.
and make sure your opinions are heard. If that's just not the person you're dealing with, you may not want to build a house. That's not what you want to do.
I think another thing too in remodels is people have the mentality to live in their home during the remodel.
That's tough.
Which is a bad thing to do. But
That's a good point.
I would say.
You mean like what we did?
Yeah.
Very bad idea.
Yeah.
We did it though, and we made it.
And that's this area, like, you know, we're DIYers, you know, things like that. So in this area, I think that's another thing. Like when you're building, you can't live in it.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that allows us as professionals to go in and do what we need to do and not be questioned throughout the entire process, as opposed to if you're living in your kitchen remodel, which a lot of people do, like you're not seeing the full finish and you're not even understanding what's going on. So you're just questioning and then you're in the way, you know?
I think that's a great point. That's something I didn't even think about.
It's such an inconvenient. Yes, and you've lived through it, and it makes everyone stressed. Like it makes the homeowner most of all the most stressed because they're having to live in dust and construction and people being in their homes every day.
There was several days where I didn't like you.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yes.
I have to live through all these.
I always say that.
Dust. But the finished product was great.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, buying a resale house it can be tough as well, because like you said, you sometimes just can't find what you want and you're just settling on what's available. And you know, for me, I'm more than times not going to talk about the financial side of things, whether you're going to make or lose money in the long run. Some people just quality of life is what matters. So quality of life and controlling the end goal, the outcome, you want to control everything. Buying new construction may be a lot better idea, and that could be a disadvantage to buy a resale property. Is if you just want more control over what you have, and the financial part isn't as important to you. The last question is, what are the cons of building? So I'll take this one. And there was a guy that I watched on YouTube years and years and years ago.
Don't hurt me too bad, because I am building, so don't make me regret my decision.
Yes. And granted, I like home builders as well. Like I plan on, in 2022, probably doing some new developments, subdivisions, and you know, being a listing agent for those. And don't take this wrong, builders, but the guy said you should never be the first person to lay your head in a house.
Really?
That's what he said. And he said he's never done it. Well, it's because you have no control. You have no control of where the market will be 6, 12 months from now. How long do you, in your past experience, see how long it takes to build a home?
Build a home. I'd say anything 3,000 square feet and over and more custom is 15 months.
Okay. I've seen homes take 15, 18, 24 months to be built. You get custom and it could take longer than that.
Absolutely.
Y'all have seen, just in our market today, politics change, inflation change, interest rates are gonna change. All these things are gonna be fluctuating, and you're building a house. That you're in the most vulnerable position you can be in, especially with something that doesn't generate income.
What if your interest rate is locked in?
So that's one thing you could do, but what about inflation? Like you can't.
Yeah, inflation.
You can't control that. I mean, with the remodel, you could just live in it and decide to do it later. With the new build home, if you're middle of the way in and lumber costs shoot up, you got one option, either pause, or two options, pause or keep going forward and eat the cost. And you got somebody who, husband or wife, says, hey, look, I'm ready to get in my house. And it costs you $15,000 more for lumber. Y'all seen the memes on Instagram and what lumber used to cost as opposed to what you can get with lumber now.
Right.
So, I mean, things like that, you just have to take that into account. And I think a lot of people don't take that into account. Who's going to pay for those overruns? Where is that going to come from? Are those agreements already set in place? So I think it's very, very risky in a lot of cases, but some cases it isn't. Just get the right team in place, but it can be extremely risky in my opinion.
It's 100, and that is for sure a con. Example on a project that I'm on now, garage doors. Got a quote 3 weeks ago, for, let's just say, I think it was $13,000, and then she goes to buy them a week later, or the 3 weeks later, $23,000.
See.
So you're 100% right about that, and that's why you have got to allocate extra money.
Yeah.
But the other thing is don't have the mentality that you're gonna wait for all the prices to go down before you build, because that's not happening.
That's not gonna happen either.
No one's gonna be like, hey, you know what? I raised all my prices, now I'm gonna make them all go down again.
Yeah.
It's just, not gonna happen. So, and then the other con of building is your timeline. So I think I agree with you on those two things. Those are the cons.
Yeah.
Money and time.
Yeah. And with pre-existing homes, I didn't mention this earlier, I think that interest rates are gonna go up soon. And I think inflation will get under control at some point, or maybe even stay the same. So the prices may come down a little bit because buyer demand may change sometime in 2022. So I think there may be an opportunity to buy some homes that are resale property. Somebody's lived in it. You can't control the environmental stuff, but you may be able to control the cost part. You may be able to get a decent deal in 2022. As opposed to buying brand new, I think it's gonna get really expensive, a little bit, unreasonably expensive to build pretty soon. So I think, if you're gonna build.
It's gonna be unreasonably expensive to build?
To build, I think so.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
I
just don't see how it isn't. Because the cost to build are just the cost to build. It just is what it is.
Yeah, we're almost there on it is what it is on building, and the cost is what's so hard for my clients right now, because I got about 5 new builds in the works, is the mentality is like that if I would have just built this home pre-COVID, the cost would have been so much lower, but you just have to get out, because that's not where you waited. This is the new world. This is how much it costs, and you can't be stuck in the past.
Yeah.
It's that you can't think like, oh, but if I would have built this 2 years ago, I would have been able to build a $1 million home for $600,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gone. That time's gone.
That time's gone, at least for now. If the market goes to shit, then y'all may get an opportunity to buy some houses for cheap. But until then, you're gonna have to pay the expensive prices. And you just gotta make the best decision you can, at that time period, like what she's trying to say. So I think that's a great way to wrap it up. It's just get the right team in place. I think that's a very great point. And then like she's saying, the past is the past. You can't look in the past. All you can do is, you can't determine your decision on the past, but you should look in the past to see what prices have done, prices of materials, like be informed on it, but don't let it drive your decision. That's what she's trying to say, I guess. Am I right on that?
Yeah, most people either live in the past or they live in the future.
Yeah.
Very few people live in the present, and you have to live in the present when you're remodeling or doing that.
That's great. That's a great saying. I like that.
I think in closing though, the biggest takeaway that you should have is if you are buying an existing home, work with a qualified real estate agent. Even if you're selling your home, don't list it yourself. List it with an agent. And then...
Unless you're me, I'm listing my house by myself.
Well, I'm designing my own home, so
we're qualified to do that. You may not be.
I wish I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wish I had someone else to do what I do for other people, but...
Yeah.
And then if you are building a home or doing a remodel, hire a designer. I know that hiring a designer is an extra expense and it's a luxury thing, although it's not really. People think a designer is a luxury thing, but it's really a necessity, because your contractor, your builder, they do not care what color you paint your walls. They do not care what type of flooring you do. All they want to know is what you want.
They're not qualified to give you design advice. That's not their role. We talked about roles earlier.
So.
Get somebody qualified for that role to get something done. You can't ask your contractor, certain questions. Design is one of them, in my opinion. They're not the greatest at that. Some of them are though. Some of them are pretty impressive, but more times than not. More times than not.
To do both though, at the end of the day. You're not gonna get a full design experience from a contractor.
Okay. Well, in closing, thank you so much for watching. We don't have a name to this segment. We plan on doing more in the future. So if you guys have any suggestions on what we should name this, please give us some suggestions. We would love to hear from you. And any other feedback you have, whatever platform you watch this, I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.